All right, first graders, how are you doing today? It is great to have you. I'm sorry that this is asynchronous, but science still has to happen. So, before we start with our actual lesson, I want you to get some supplies from me. So, in your science kit, you should have a silver thermometer. So, please go ahead and take out your thermometer, please. Right? Again, you can always pause this and continue as you wish. All right, I'm just going to keep going. All right, the next uh, thing you're going to need is your paper thermometer. Okay, your paper thermometer is orange, and then it should have a burgundy strip inside it. I'm going to go ahead and put mine back inside it. Next, since you are at home, please go get 2 cups of water. But here's what I want. One of them, I want you to leave it as regular water. And then the next one, I want you to put a few ice cubes in it. All right, so 1 cup of regular water and another cup with some ice to make it ice water. And then the final supply you will need is your science notebook and a pencil or a pen to write in it. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is after I explain what you're doing, we're going to pause this video. I want you to pause this video, and then I want you to go outside. It will take maybe 10 seconds. Just go outside and feel how it feels outside. Pay attention to how it feels outside. Does it feel warm, hot, cold? And then I want you to come inside, and I want you to compare. How does it feel inside compared to outside? Does it feel warmer? Does it feel cooler? Or does it feel about the same inside and outside? Okay, so that is the first thing we are going to do. So go ahead and pause the video right here. Okay, so how did it feel? Did it feel warmer? Did it feel cooler? Talk to me. Or I'm not really there. You can't really talk to me, okay? So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be investigating temperature. And the temperature describes how hot or cold the air is. See, this all comes back to air. We're been investigating air. So the temperature tells us how hot or cold the air is. So I'm going to hold this up. Do any of you know what this is or what it does? Well, let's watch this video. First graders, all right, let's talk about a tool or an instrument. Now, I want to talk about their thermometer. Oh, we say hello, thermometer. Now, the thermometer is a tool that many scientists use, but because we're talking about air and weather, we're going to specifically talk about meteorologists. Now, meteorologists use the thermometer because it measures the air temperature in wherever you are. So right now, I am inside my house in the kitchen. So the thermometer is reading the temperature inside the house. If we were to go outside, it would be able to measure the temperature outside. So I'm going to flip this around. So this is a thermometer. If you see, there are numbers on both sides. So let's first talk about the F and the C. The F stands for Fahrenheit, and the C stands for Celsius. There are 2 different systems for measuring temperature. And then when you look, there are different numbers that adjust. So at the top, if the red line was all the way up here, it would be 230 degrees Fahrenheit or 110 degrees Celsius. So I'm talking about this red line, right? I'm going to try and adjust it. You can see a red line. And wherever the red line is resting, that is where the current temperature is. So inside my house, the red line is right at about 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius. But did you know, thermometers don't only measure the air temperature, they can measure other things too, the temperature of other objects. So, we're going to pause right there. So, you should have your cup of water and your cup of ice water. Now, I want you to go ahead, I want you to feel how hot or cold or warm your water is. But I don't want you to use a thermometer. I want you to use your finger. Go ahead and stick your finger inside both cups of water. Do they feel the same? Do they feel different? What is different about how they feel? Pay attention to how they feel. If you're watching this live during my class time, maybe you can discuss with other students. If you're watching this asynchronously on your own, just pay attention to how it feels, the differences in how the water feels. Okay? But is using your finger the most accurate? If I said, hey, how cold was that cup of water? You could say, well, it was 1 knuckle degrees, or it was 30 freckles and 1 fingernail. That's not accurate. No. We need an accurate measurement. We need an accurate reading. And that's where tools come in. That's where thermometers come in, because they help us understand and get an accurate reading or give us data for how hot or cold something is, the temperature of a certain object, in this instance, water is. Okay? So, let me show you what happens when thermometers are actually used. Okay? Here we go. And I put the thermometer in. Let's go ahead and see what happens to the red line. Hey, it's not moving. So that tells us that this cup of water, where the red line is 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius. So this cup of water is at room temperature. But now let's look at this cup. Let's see what happens to the red line. Oh, it is getting smaller. It's going down and down. Let's see where it settles. So as the thermometer, as the red line is going down, what does that tell you about the temperature of this glass of water? Is it the same temperature? Is it hotter or is it colder? What can you use? What is showing you in this picture that proves or supports your answer? Wow, this cup of water was a lot colder. All right. So we know that it was colder because originally our red line was at 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius. But as the red line contracted and got smaller, it's at about 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius. So we know that the water is colder because the numbers got lower. So this cup of water, you see the red line, is about 49 or 50 degrees Fahrenheit, because the Fahrenheit is on this side. And if you read on the Celsius side, the water is about 13 degrees Celsius. So this cup of water I put in the freezer right before this video. All right, let's look at this cup. Oh, there is some condensation on the side. I wonder if this cup is hotter or colder. Let's see. Oh, it is climbing. Holy moly! How was I able to put my finger in here? All right. So, what about this cup? Was the water hotter, colder, or the same? What did you notice happen? What happened to the red line inside the thermometer that lets you know that the temperature changed? Okay. So now what I would like you to do is I want you to use your thermometer. Now that you can kind of see, you had evidence of what happens when there was a temperature change. I want you to place your thermometer in your regular water that does not have ice. Go ahead and measure the temperature. Okay? Now, after you have done that, this is where you're going to use your science journal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a picture, and I want you to open your journal to a new page. Okay? Once you have your journal open to a new page, remember, you can pause this whenever you want. But I want you to put the date. Today's date is February 4th, 2021. Okay, you're going to write the date, and the title of this page will be Measuring Temperature. So you're going to write the date, and then at the top of your journal, you're going to write Measuring Temperature. Then I want you to write this sentence. My cup of water was, and then now that you have your thermometer in your cup of regular water, I want you to look at the thermometer and look at the Fahrenheit side where it has the F. And now see where the red line is resting. Maybe it's 70 degrees. Maybe it's 72 degrees. however warm or cold your water is, I want you to write how many degrees in Fahrenheit it is. So maybe you might write 23 or 77, all right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to, why don't you go ahead and write this next sentence? You don't know the answer yet, but then you're going to write, my cup of ice water was blank degrees Fahrenheit. Because after you write this sentence, what you're going to do is you're going to put your thermometer in your cup of ice water. And then I want you to pay attention to how the thermometer changes. Did the line go lower? Did it get higher? Or did it stay the same? Okay, so we're going to be measuring the temperatures of two different cups of water. Okay, so go ahead. You can pause this. You can write this down in your journal. Go ahead and measure it. Now, once we are done, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. This is what you can do. Go ahead and get your thermometer, your paper thermometer. Now look at your journal entry. You wrote down how hot or cold, the temperature of your cup of regular water, right? Now you wrote it in Fahrenheit. This thermometer is in Celsius. So let's just pretend that your cup of water was 70 degrees Celsius, which is Fahrenheit, which is right here, which means if you go over, it's about 20 degrees Celsius. So on your thermometer, it has 20 degrees Celsius. So you're going to have to find where 20 is. Is it? No, it's not negative 20. Oh, if my cup of water was 20 degrees Celsius, then I want you to use your thermometer to bring it up to measure and mimic where 20 degrees Celsius is. Boom, right there. And then you're going to do the exact same thing for the cold water, your cup of cold water. So you're going to have to measure the temperature. So this is a great job of converting. So now you're going to look at your cup of cold water. You're going to put your thermometer in. And mine was about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is right here. So that means if I go over, my cup of cold water was about 10 degrees Celsius. So again, we know when the temperature gets colder, the red line goes down. And pull your red line down to whatever temperature your cup of cold water is. All right? And that's what we're going to be doing in class today. So we learned about a thermometer, how it works, what it does, why meteorologists use it. Okay, we actually got to use our actual thermometer to measure the temperature of 2 cups of water. We wrote that down in our science journal. We tracked our data, recorded our data, and then we mimicked and used our paper thermometer just to see how temperature can fluctuate. You can continue to use this. Please don't throw this away. Please take care of it. But if you want to continue measuring the temperature of different objects, I think that would be fun. And then use this to mimic and see, oh yeah, I can get it to be 30 degrees Celsius or whatever it is that you're doing. All right, kiddos, thank you so much. I'm sorry that I wasn't in class today. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. But until then, have a great rest of your day.